With the long-awaited return of Jujutsu Kaisen, I know you all have been anticipating one of my famous theories, and I couldn't help but revolve this video around Satoru Gojo and how he may return in the world of Jujutsu Kaisen. Satoru Gojo hasn't been involved in the series for quite a while now, since being imprisoned inside the prison realm at the beginning of the Shibuya incident arc. Now we are entering the Culling Games arc, and with what occurred in the latest chapter, it could play a massive part in Satoru Gojo's imminent return to the series. But before we get into this video, be sure to subscribe to the channel if you are new and hit the notification bell to stay updated on latest uploads. Also follow me on Twitter for any new updates concerning the channel. This video will contain spoilers from the manga. With the introduction of Hikari, I'm certain that Gojo's return will be sooner than you think. However, with Hikari mentioning something about writing a good script, as well as the presence of Hana Kurusu, I've got this theory I'd like to share with you guys on how and when Gojo could return to the series. So without further ado, let's get straight in. Over the past few weeks in Jujutsu Kaisen, the only thing we've all been indulged into is the rare case of Satoru Gojo being captured within the prison realm, and like I mentioned before, it's been quite a while since he got encapsulated. The first thing we need to understand is how Gojo got caught up inside of the prison realm, so we will need to take this back to chapter 90 of the series. This was a decisive moment where we got to see the intricate planning of Kenjaku and the other cursed spirits, and how they could achieve the impossible by outsmarting the most intelligent and powerful sorcerer of this generation. Kenjaku, who is the brain controlling Suguru Geto, goes on to explain the functions of the prison realm, stating how the prison realm is a living barrier of the final remains of the Buddhist monk known as Genshin. As for who Genshin was, he was one of the most influential monks who eventually entered Nirvana at the age of 76, but as for what role Genshin plays in the world of Jujutsu Kaisen is unknown, but if the prison realm was created out of its final remains, then he was definitely on a completely different level. Anywho, during chapter 90, Kenjaku explains that the prison realm is inescapable, and that there is nothing that it cannot seal, meaning that it can even seal Satoru Gojo. Kenjaku's plan is to have Gojo within a 4-meter radius after opening the prison realm, leaving Jogo in complete shock, understanding that this was such an impossible task. Although 1 minute may seem short to us, 1 minute seems like an eternity when coming up against Gojo. However, for these cursed spirits there's a loophole, and because Gojo's brain functions in a very different way, a minute inside his head would seem like a few seconds in the outer world. So with Kenjaku appearing right before Gojo, a flood of memories hits him, and eventually the 1 minute inside of Gojo's brain comes to an end and manages to capture him. So to break it down, everything inside of Gojo's mind slows everything down in the outer world. A few minutes inside of his head would be a few seconds out here, thus proclaiming that he is indeed one of the most powerful sorcerers, and it grants him the ability to break down situations in seconds. As for the conditions of the prison realm, it can only be used again if the captive person inside of it kills themselves or obviously dies. Since Kenjaku captured such a powerful sorcerer, the weight of the prison realm became very dense to the point where it created a mini crater on the ground. Now that we've had that mini recap, let's go much further down to one of the most recent chapters of the series. Upon meeting up with Master Tengen, he explains the back of the prison realm, which he managed to retrieve, but he sealed it, which eventually Kenjaku realized that Master Tengen had it. This sealing backfired, and the only way to break it open from the back was either with the black rope of Miguel's or the inverted spear of heaven, which Gojo destroyed both of them, meaning the only way to free Gojo is with the front of the prison realm, as this is in the hands of Kenjaku. Well, this is the part where we introduce a new character who has been gaining a lot of spotlight over the past few weeks. Her name is none other than Hana Kurusu. Master Tengen mentions there is one way for Gojo to escape, and that is with the help of this angel. As for who and what Hana Kurusu is, she is a sorcerer said to have been around since the golden age of shamans, and has been reawakened through the many binding vows of Kenjaku that he made throughout his 1000 years of being alive. Hana Kurusu will be participating in the Culling Games, and her curse technique is a very special one. She can extinguish any curse technique. As for the extent, we are not sure, but she's the only key to freeing Satoru Gojo. But Master Tengen advises them to try and get Hana Kurusu to their side. As for this part, I think it will play a key role to Gojo's escape. Since Hana Kurusu utilizes a curse technique which basically erases curse techniques, there's no way that she would simply comply with them. It will definitely lead to an altercation where they must prove their strength to this 1000-year-old sorcerer. So which character would be able to go toe to toe with such a monster? But that is another monster similar to Toji, and that is Maki Zenin. The Culling Game is going to be one unpredictable arc, and there has to be a reason as to why Akutami made Maki go through such a massive development, even to the point where he decided to let her massacre off the entire Zenin clan. This new evolution of Maki is going to be seriously dangerous, and she can finally be compared to Toji. So with that said, the only way to subdue Hana Kurusu would be be with Maki Zenin. It'll be the angel versus demon, a person who can erase curse techniques against someone who doesn't utilize any curse techniques whatsoever, and it's a matchup we all have to prepare for. Since we witnessed Maki totally annihilating the Zenin clan, how would she fare against a 1000-year-old sorcerer who has a broken ability? I mean, for this battle I don't think she will just be taking this on her alone, and it'll mostly occur in one of the locations during the culling games. I think for this fight we might get to see Maki and Yuta team up against Hanakurusu. Personally, I think this would fit perfectly, and I know it's something we would all really like to see. So let's say Maki and Yuta do manage to subdue Hanakurusu and get her on their side. What part would Hikari play in all of this? From the most recent chapter, Yuji and Megumi were tasked with the mission to get Hikari to help them out. But since Hikari was expelled and finding out he runs an illegal Jujutsu fight club known as the Gambling Club, they must work diligently to get Hikari's help. As for the Gambling Club, it's sort of like WWE, where Hikari wants fighters to put on a show, and if they impress, he'll form a script for them. But this supposed script idea is putting me on the fence, because the way in which Hikari words it feels like there's more to this script. Anywho, the task in hand will for sure be a difficult one, because not only did we get introduced to Hikari, but also his girlfriend Kirara Hoshi, where Hikari has enough trust in her to deal with Megumi, meaning that she could possibly be a serious problem. With Yuji impressing in his so-called fight with Panda in this gambling club, Hikari seems to like him, where he wants to provide a script for him and his fights. So what exactly is this script? Well, I could be overthinking it, but this script could be Hikari's curse technique. Yuta did mention that Hikari is stronger than him when he is serious, but of course Maki downplays it, saying that Yuta is too nice, meaning Hikari's strength falls just below Yuta's. As for the script, I believe it is a curse technique where Hikari can alter the future in his own way a few steps ahead. For example, making certain events fall into place for him to make things convenient, thus why this script was being mentioned quite a bit in the latest chapters. Hikari's character, which we got to see for the very first time, was definitely an eyesore, being inspired from Tyler Durden from Fight Club, which makes sense to what kind of illegal club he is running at the moment. He even wears Tyler's infamous fur coat, but the biggest task at hand would be convincing Hikari to help them out. Understanding the kind of character he is, he will definitely go toe to toe with both Yuji and Megumi, and those two would do well enough to impress Hikari and convince him to join them in freeing Gojo. Now this is where the theory of Gojo's great escape kicks in. So let's say that Maki and Yuta manage to get Hanakurusu on their side. Getting to Kenjaku's location won't be a walk in the park, let alone getting anywhere near the prison realm. With the many obstacles that Kenjaku will put into place, who knows what could happen. So that is where Hikari's curse technique will come useful. This script will be such a massive help in these culling games. If this script curse technique allows Hikari to plan out the future events the way he wants them, then this would also be the key to obtaining the prison realm from Kenjaku. Of course, I'm just merely speculating that Hikari's curse technique allows him to form a script where he can make things go his way. Anyways, if that is indeed Hikari's curse technique, then he would be able to lure out either Kenjaku or even the game master to put these games at a halt, and by doing so it will lead them to Kenjaku's location. With the help of Hanakurusu, they could be able to pull off Gojo's escape from the prison realm, but we all know that Akutami won't make things easy for them. We might even witness a twist where Gojo could be on the edge of escaping, but still somehow get sucked back into the prison realm. Since we haven't seen Gojo for quite a bit now, his return is imminent, but as for when it could happen, I'm not really sure. It all depends on the sort of events which may follow during the culling games. I reckon we'll even see some big losses in terms of characters, because Akutami is ruthless like that. Anyways, that was the ideal way in which I see things going, but Hikari's curse technique is where all the magic really lies, since it may play such a massive part in this current arc. But what do you guys think about Hikari's curse technique? Could it be that he can alter the future, and when do you all think Gojo will be freed from the prison realm, and how? Be sure to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, like this video and subscribe to the channel if you're new, and I'll see you guys in the next one.